Welcome to Midlife Unlimited, the podcast for women who want more. I'm your host, Kate Porter, the Midlife Metamorphosis Coach, and I'm delighted to be joined by my episode 76 guest, the wonderful Hazel Turner, psychology-led design and brand strategy expert. And you're going to find out all about that because we are here to give a taste of our full-length audio episode that's available now wherever you get your podcasts. How to use colour to zhuzh. I love that word. Zhuzh your midlife. So welcome, Hazel. It is wonderful to be talking to you on video after our audio episode.
Thank you, Kate. Thank you so much for having me back for this.
Well, my absolute pleasure. Now, in our audio episode, I kickstart by saying, and the irony of this, that a lot of the women I speak to, a lot of my mates, we can feel midlife is a time when we're living in black and white. But zebra's okay. And we're yearning for a bit of technicolor. And we're feeling nothing wrong with beige, but it's that feeling you're having a beige day. And I'm not just talking about the colours we wear, it's the colours we surround ourselves with, isn't it? It's on the walls of our home, it's in our business. Colour. Why is colour so impactful on us?
Oh, well, whatever your thoughts are, science does prove that so much that guides the things we do, the decisions we make, the action that we take is based on emotion.
Yeah.
And colour has such a part to play in that. I think we could all say, research has been done. There was something that I quoted recently, a study I quoted recently in my Colour and Authority newsletter. And it was talking about how everybody thinks of yellow as being a really joyful, sunny, positive color, which it is, but it can also be overstimulating, like it can go
Yeah.
too far. So they've actually found that babies cry more in yellow rooms. So
Gosh, that is so interesting because a lot of all these rom-com movies, when they don't want to have the grand reveal, they often plump for yellow because it's like neither nor. Although pink never used to be a girl's color, it always used to be a boy's color back in the day,
yeah,
didn't it?
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
God, that's so interesting. And I love you mentioned your newsletter, and obviously all your contact details are in the show notes for our episode, and you have your guest profile on the website, and we'll be sharing them later at the end of our chat today. So hold your horses, it's all coming your way. But you do have the colour of, now is it colour of the month you do?
Yes, yeah,
Because
that's what I'm doing. Yeah.
sage. And I was like, I actually commented, I went, well, my kitchen sage and my bedroom. I love a bit. I don't necessarily wear it, but I
Mm,
love the feeling. And a lot of people think sage, oh, it's great for your garage door or now it's getting warmer. Everyone's out getting zhuzhing up their garden furniture. See, gardens, colour there. We didn't
yeah.
even touch on that in our episode. But sage, calming,
Mm.
stimulating at the same time, though. I find it's kind of, I'm really into mindfulness, and I find sage is a fabulous color to accompany my mindful moments.
Yeah, I would say that sage is very calming and relaxing because it's never it isn't a heavily saturated color. When we think of like the primary colors or neon colors, they are like, full on. You can't get any stronger, richer pigment than what you see in those. I know there
Mm.
isn't actually like a physical pigment, when you see a
Well, that's
color on
what they need. I mean,
screen.
I'm a newspaper journalist, and
Yeah.
that's those are what make up all the colors in the
Yeah,
magazines and
exactly.
newspapers. Yeah.
Yeah, CMYK breakdown. I still work in
Thank you for that.
CMYK.
My brain went like, no, I'm not going to help you. I've got no idea.
No, because I started out as a magazine designer, even if I'm creating digital assets, when I'm tweaking colors, finessing, I always have to use the CMYK breakdown because that's just how my mind works. I
Yeah.
can't do RGB. And then hex codes, I don't even know. I convert it for websites, it's fine, but I can't actually work in those colors. Yeah, it's
You
interesting.
do what you're expert at, what feels good to you. And that
Yeah.
works at everything in life, doesn't it? But I
Yeah.
say, in terms of, sorry, I interrupted you a bit there, but psychology of color, it's not just a fad for you. This is something you're really passionate about, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I think I've always been a very emotional person, always been, highly empathetic. So I think maybe I've just always been more finely tuned to emotions, and that's why I think it's interesting what I've ended up doing now. My primary offer for clients is brand identity, so that brings together both this sort of creative design side and also the emotional response as well, bringing the psychology in. So yeah, I think it's huge. And even for people who maybe don't feel that things resonate with them so much emotionally, I bet it does have a real impact on the decisions they make. They're just maybe not so aware of it. A lot of studies have proven that this is how, over
Mm.
90% of the population operate. It's just whether you're more conscious of it or not. But quite often these responses happen so quickly. We
Yeah.
make a decision about what we think about somebody's visuals. I think it's 0.05 seconds.
Wow.
So it's so fast. And even when you meet somebody as well, I was having a discussion the other day. I gave a talk, and afterwards we were discussing how somebody's brand isn't just their brand identity that I create for people. So as you say, in terms of like what you wear, how you show up, we're constantly making decisions. We're quite
Absolutely.
judgy as humans, really, if you
Yeah.
think.
No. I mean, I talk about, let the judges judge. That is my midlife mantra. It has way before any big
Yeah,
famous people started using words like that. I've lived by it. But people do, as you say, it's a trait.
yeah,
But I tend to use or try to use it. Tell me if it works or not to my advantage, particularly. I mean, I know this isn't a business podcast, but we all do networking or whatever when we're, especially online, when we're just like, it always reminds me of Celebrity Squares. I don't know if you remember that. What's it? Quiz show, wasn't it? But when you are one of often 100+
mm,
little squares on a screen, where I mean, obviously, I'm wearing zebra print today, which is different. I normally wear leopard or green. Those are my brand because they're what I love.
mm,
I'm
mm.
zhuzhing up. A bit of a change. Spring
It
is in the
is you,
air.
Kate. I like it.
It's all about trying different things, isn't it? But
Yeah,
it is an idea to, as you say, to a way of standing out is to wear something. It's a fine line. Wear something that's bold or bright, so they're like, oh yes, people remember you, but something that feels right for you. Because there
yeah,
is a bit of a trend. And I've actually I went through maybe it was a phase of wearing bright clashes, which I still love. But I was starting to bore myself a bit. Now, who can bore themselves wearing really bright colours? But I was, and there were so many other fabulous women all wearing, and I thought I was starting to blend in, I felt, in the sea of bright colours,
ah,
which is such a weird thing. And I know we're all about, I mean, our wonderful friend Amanda. I sadly couldn't make it on the day. Amanda Fitzgerald, we love you. Mwah. The Mutton March, I'll be there next year. Amanda and I did a video podcast about it as well. But that whole fear of mutton dressed as lamb,
mm.
as midlife women, it's a bloody insult, isn't it? We're
Oh,
all about,
completely. Yeah.
yeah, we're
To
all
be
about
judged by a
wearing what we
young
want.
man.
Yeah, wearing what we want to wear, but having that freedom to experiment and to think, yeah, I'm going to try. You don't have to douse yourself head to toe in a certain color, but give it a go. But as we talk about in our podcast as well, beige doesn't have to be boring. And some days we want beige, whether that be a big fluffy blanket in a
Mm.
gorgeous creamy beige or a wonderful coat that makes us feel really rather fabulous. We're embracing our Devil Wears Prada moment. We're putting those big sunglasses on. We've got our beige overcoat and we own the world. Thank you. Who doesn't want to feel like that? So beige is powerful. A camel. Do you know what I mean? When you put that camel coat on, you're like,
Yeah, yeah.
this is a glimpse inside my mind. I am Meryl's twin sister, don't you know? I'd like to be Anne. No, I'm not going to pretend to be Anne Hathaway's twin sister, but Meryl, maybe somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, yeah.
But another thing we talk about as well is obviously empty nesting is a big thing. We haven't all got kids, but it's a time of change. And our homes and the colours we use in our homes, the textures, the fabrics, the patterns. Now is a time to actually think, I'm bored with that. Or not just bored. I don't really like the word bored. That doesn't feel. I want to shake things up a bit. And it doesn't have to cost the earth, does it? But
Mm.
experimenting with a little bit, even if you just get some match pots and just do some little parts of it, changing the colour can change your mood and how you feel about a room, can't it?
Yeah, definitely. Um, yeah, it's interesting if you look at sort of different spaces. Where I was yesterday for an event, they'd used greens actually, and it
Mm.
was we were in a private room like upstairs in a pub in Fitzrovia, and I noticed the ceiling, and I do love a bit of colour on the
You've
ceiling. We
got
talked
that at
about
yours,
that
haven't you?
before.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. And they'd got a dark green, like a forest dark bottle green on the ceiling. And because it was high ceiling in the room and they had beautiful coving details and
I
they
can
had lots of
picture it. I can picture it
gorgeous
now.
sash windows on two
Oh,
sides, overlooking the street. It was East, is it East Riding Street, Great Riding Street, and the other road. I used to know all those roads because I
you
worked
said
down
you
there.
worked
And
there.
yeah, exactly. And now I've left London. I'm like, where am I? East Riding Street, possibly. But yeah, it looked amazing. And then they'd got like a cream color, and then it was more a sagey green, kind of a darker sagey green, bit sort of eucalyptus was round the bottom, and they'd got a row of seats. And I did think they were really lovely, calming colours, and it was
Mm.
really nicely done. They'd got lots of plants and they've got nice cushions again with the greens, but adding in some sort of warmer pinks and sort of flesh colours. And then yeah, like the a sort of mishmash of kind of warm wooden furniture. And it felt really nice. It felt really timeless as well.
Yeah.
So I'm not so much about trends in terms of
No, I'm not.
how I
And
work.
every
And I mean, some of it comes through in terms of like, interiors like boucle was all the rage a couple of years
and
ago,
there is
wasn't it?
always like the colour of the year, isn't there? Or the
Yeah.
colour of the season and
Yeah. But yeah, I thought how lovely it was as a space because I thought, well, they've obviously thought about this really well. They've made it a warm, welcoming, space. It isn't overtly feminine, it isn't overtly masculine. It's like you could use it for like any event and it
Mm.
it feels really lovely. The lighting was really gorgeous as well.
Lighting is, I mean,
Creating a nice
it's not
mood.
strictly a color, but it
Yeah.
impacts the color. The way you light can really change,
Yeah.
like the way the color, whether it's a dull day or a bright sunshine day, will
Yeah.
change the
Yeah.
color of your eyes, the color, the tones. No,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I just had a little thought. I talk about why all the time in terms of why we want to do something, but I think it works with color as well because it's the why you use, for example, with interiors, why are you using this room? So what
Mm.
emotions do you want to evoke from it? Do you want to feel comfortable? Do you want to feel stimulated? And I don't just mean woohoo, I mean as in mentally or physically
Yeah.
stimulated, who knows? um but isn't it, it's like, like we mentioned our gardens, do you want hot pinks and
Mm.
bright aquas there, kind of a very American South colors, Florida Keys? Or do you want English country garden? Do you want muted or, soft pinks? And you can take the same garden and completely change the feel of it just by what colour you paint your bench, can't you?
Yeah, my last house actually, I went for it with the colours there. So I don't know if anybody will have heard of. There's an architect. He's called Luis Barrajan. I think he's Mexican, definitely
Oh,
South
I'm going
American.
to love it. I need to go and Google this.
Yeah, so Luis and then Barrajan, Barragan, I think. But if I tell you that the three sort of sides of the garden, the right side was a really bright hot pink, the left side was a warm orange, and
Yeah.
then the back wall was white. And if you look up images of his work, you will see why I use those colours. But I was like, when I was in the garden, I wanted to forget that I was in Bedfordshire and feel like I was in Mexico or
No, that's exactly.
California.
I've got
Or,
hot pink, orange, coral as well,
yeah,
and a kind of a
lovely.
turquoisey blue, a bit of
Mm.
purple, and it's just zingy.
Yeah. And I think
Mm.
because like a lot of plants, I mean, obviously the predominant color in a garden is going to be green,
Especially
but
if you're
there are lots
lucky.
of gorgeous plants that come in, all those bright, oranges and pinks just
Mm.
really sing together and uplift you, don't they? And I guess in our gardens, we can probably be a bit bolder with color than we might be indoors. Because say
Yeah,
you're buying some cushions, for your deck chairs or something, and buy a gorgeous dahlia or something, rather
yeah.
than it. being a whole sofa, that's going to set you back a lot more money.
No,
So
that's really. And
yeah,
now you can get these outdoor rugs and things as well, can't
yes.
you? That like, ooh, all of it. I'm just worried about my dog weeing on it. Bless him. I have to lower the tone. I have to lower the tone. Now, I've just realised as well something we didn't talk about in our audio episode. You're thinking, oh my God, what's she going to say? No, the traditional colour wheel. Is that a good place to start for anyone watching this thinking it's all very well, these two sitting there saying, have fun with colour, do this, do that, break the rules. Do you need to know what the rules are in order to break them? Do you follow your heart? What would be your advice on
No,
this one?
I'd say go with what you like, what you
I'm gonna have a
enjoy.
slurp of coffee.
Yeah, I'll take over. I love a bit of Pinterest. So I actually had a friend who his girlfriend's moved in with him. He was sharing the house with another friend, a male friend. So I think now that she's moved in, they want to make it, their own as a couple, which is
Oh yeah,
lovely. And they were asking me for a bit of advice, and I said I love Pinterest. I love a Pinterest board. I spoke in the podcast
yeah.
about getting inspiration there. But one thing is that's changed. I was talking to a lady about it last night at this event that I went to, is the predominance of AI images. And I didn't realize. So my friend Sam said, he's like, well, we did look on Pinterest, but he's like, there's a lot of AI stuff on there. I mean,
Oh,
it's a shame, but if you're looking for inspiration, obviously you know that you're not going to have a infinity jacuzzi with a waterfall that goes off the end into a ravine and a gorge.
yeah.
Obviously you're like,
No.
yeah, that's not actually a real
Because I
place. That's
used
just
to love
AI.
sitting down with all the house magazine. That's always the best thing
Yeah.
about going to the doc. They don't do it anymore. I used to,
Yeah.
in the doctor's surgery, all the house
Have a
magazine.
browse.
So I
Yeah.
suppose it's the step from that, isn't it? Now the whole
Yeah.
Pinterest idea, but not AI. No, no, no.
No, but there's lots of good websites. I was trying to think, there was because I did work out in Australia as well, and they've got some amazing homes magazines over there.
Mm.
And there was a really gorgeous website that I used to look at. But if you look up like Australian interiors magazines, there's quite a lot that you can get online from the publishing houses in terms of, whether it's a case study for a specific property, or yeah, I don't know if they have so many, like we always used to call them decorating features, but that would normally be at the front of the magazine
Yeah.
where the decorating editor had gone out and they got sort of samples of latest, wallpapers and curtains and things, and they'd put together like a mini set in a space.
Oh, right. Using this month's. Oh,
Yeah,
what a good
exactly. And then they
idea.
would probably go on to like real life, the homes features
Yeah.
themselves, and then maybe a bit more practical stuff would be at the back. Um, so yeah, you might, I don't know if they actually sort of still produce the decorating features because that takes a bit more effort, but you can definitely get real home inspiration from those sorts of sites online. And there are, UK ones as well that you can find. So I think they're like a really good place to
So
to
yeah,
start.
park the color wheel for now. Have
Yeah.
it. You can Google that and just you don't actually physically need to own one, do you? Oh, I could talk to you all day. We know this. We know this. Now, obviously, I say all your contact details are in the show notes for our episode, but let us know, how can we contact you? What can you do for us in terms of our brand colors, our business colors? Anything coming up business wise? Not business wise, event wise. Over to you.
Thank you, Kate. Well, I actually ran my first event last month, so I'll probably be hosting that again in September. So that was called Legacy by Design. There's information about that on my website, which is welldesigned.uk. And also on there, you can book a brand revenue audit check with me. So that's
Ooh.
where I can look at the colors that you're using, as well as other visual assets, and we can see if anything that you are currently using, if it isn't quite landing with your ideal client, like is it costing you clients? Could you actually be turning people away without realizing because of how you're showing up visually? So that's free for you to book with me. And yeah, you can do that via my website, welldesigned.uk.
No, I love that because we were chatting before we started going recording with this about a post you did yesterday, and it's so interesting because we'll have a little bit of a business chat. Sorry, the viewers, we are, but you'll find it relevant. You'll find it relevant. Colors that we use in our business and the whole idea of, oh, let's have a change, let's shake it up. It's not always the best idea to throw everything out and start from scratch, is it? If you've worked blinking hard, like I have, like I'm sure you have as well, to build a brand image, a brand palette that is instantly recognizable, why would you want to suddenly change it and have to go back to square one to a certain extent? Because a lot of big brands have been quite happy with their brand colors for a while, haven't they?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I would say that if your colors, if your current brand assets aren't attracting the kind of people that you want to be working with, then yes, potentially there's a disconnect, there's a mismatch, and that should be addressed. But if you are attracting in the right kind of people, the kind sort of people that you want to work with, you're enjoying working with, then yeah, why change it? So yeah, the post yesterday, I might have said before that I bang on about the C word,
Oh,
consistency.
consistency, yeah.
Uh, and yeah, Cadbury's have actually used the same, well, very similar shade of purple for 200 years. They've used the same logo for 100 years, I think it is. And like the Vogue masthead hasn't changed for 70 years. So it's that whole, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If you've got really good brand recognition, why would you mess that up? And people might have heard about the Jaguar
I was
rebrand
just going to say there are
last
so
year.
many case studies, aren't there, of
Yeah.
companies that have spent gazillions probably rebranding, and it's just fallen about as flat as a very flat thing.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, things like Apple logo and the Cadbury's logo has, they've tweaked it
Mm.
over the years, but they've
But it's the big
still kept the
swirly
consistency.
C, isn't it, that's instantly
Yeah.
recognizable.
Yeah, exactly. In the gold on the purple
Yeah.
background. So if all of a sudden they change that to
I
bright
refer to it
pink
as
on
Cadbury's
green.
purple, and it's like
Yeah.
amethyst, really. But if you say Cadbury's purple verbally, I wouldn't write it because I probably you probably worry about trademark issues and that kind of thing. But people instantly know exactly the colour you mean, don't they?
Yeah, and like Tiffany blue, they
Yeah.
trademarked that, you know. Yeah.
Mm.
That was how convinced they were that it was the right color for them and they weren't going to change it. They actually trademarked the color. So yeah, it's
This is
interesting.
fabulous. Well, viewers, you know how to go and get in touch with Hazel. Remind us again what your website is.
Thank you. It's welldesigned.uk.
Lovely. And I would love it if you could leave a review either for our video podcast now or head over to the audio podcast. Do both. Review, review, review. Because when you leave a review, it helps other people come and find Midlife Unlimited. And that would be rather fabulous. Come and connect with me. All my contact details are on the website too, where you'll find details of the Facebook group. And now is a rather timely time, if you can have a timely time, to come and join because I'm going to start talking about Midlife Unlimited, the book that is on its way. I know. Good thing we're sitting down, isn't it? Think working title. Anyone who's got a good idea for the title? But this is going to be bringing together 100 of my amazing guests into what's going to be a blinking special book, actually. I'm going to have to get
Oh,
your pick your
incredible.
brains to the design side of it. But that is coming your way. And you can find out for now how to work. Well, not for now, I'm not going anywhere. How to work with me one to one or come and join more. My all in one group program that is rather fabulous too. But I would say that don't take my word for it. Come and have a chat with me. Let's get you booked on. So thank you, Hazel. It was wonderful to catch up. Don't even know what day it is. It's Wednesday. Let's go and enjoy the rest of the week. No hump day here. Woo, woo, woo. Here's to being fabulous and flourishing together and living midlife unlimited. Thanks, Hazel. It's been brilliant.
Thank
Bye.
you.